Hi, everybody. Happy 4th of July weekend. Okay, so a little bit upbeat tonight compared to last night. Last night, I was so tired. Oh my gosh, I was so tired. We had worked, it was just a hot day. We worked outside and, working on things behind the scenes to try to bring what I'm about to tell you together. So, lots of prayers went into this, and a lot of very courageous people um, working behind the scenes. So let me make sure I'm on Facebook so I can get any questions. I know I'm very late, but it couldn't be helped. It couldn't be helped. We're burning the midnight oil to get justice for Richard. Okay, that's what we're doing. We will climb every mountain. We will uh, go, cross every stream, uh, follow every follow every stream, go down every valley. How does it go? It's 11:30. You can tell, but you get the point. We will burn the midnight oil also every day until we get his name cleared and we um, hold we get justice and hold those responsible for the forced disappearance and the murder of our son accountable for what they did. And this is for not only Richard and not only Team Find Richard Halliday, but it's for every service member. It's for everybody. When you do justice, uh, when you carry it out, when justice really gets carried out, it's so powerful, and it just spreads um, even across borders. And this is why this is so important. And I okay, so today is 1,073 days, I believe so, if my counting is right. I haven't checked lately, but we'll call it 1,073 days. And today is a good day because I think people are starting to find their courage against uh, the betrayal that we have had to endure for years and years, and the criminal syndicates that have infiltrated and taken over and hurt so many of us. And not just physically, but mentally. I'm hearing that Fort Bliss right now is seven suicides in 7 months. That's what I'm hearing. That should shock everybody. And that's because of the lack of justice. Okay. And, everything is connected. So many people talk about karma, but then they have a hard time wrapping their head around all of these connections, deep connections over decades, over even centuries that connect us all together in karma and, what I call sanctification. Um, in the Christian faith, we call it sanctification, or we call it um, the compounding um, injustice, so, or we can call it compounding love, right? Because love is justice, love is righteousness, right? Love is God, God is righteous, God is justice, His word is true, His word is right. So, when you connect it all together, then you definitely understand that if we carry on this um, justice for Richard, then so many others that are asking for justice uh, will benefit from this, right? And so many children that have been hurt. We have 84, 85 thousand unaccompanied minors, unaccompanied minors released into our country. Now, they're not all just, in a happy little home eating ice cream. So we've got to stop the sexual abuse of children, the sexual trafficking of children. We had a 14-year-old being prostituted out on Fort Bliss while living in the barracks. Okay. And this is not an isolated case. And we've had the case of Richard. And it was very, very clear to family. And even then, the PSYOP is so severe that you have to check yourself all the time to make sure that you're standing firm on what you know, on the truth. When it comes to dealing with the smear campaign that was absolutely lodged against Richard, conducted against Richard, and, it came out of the CID. Now, the CID might have been ordered by Fort Cavazos, Fort Hood, because you have to remember it was the same leadership over the CID, over Richard's case, that was over Vanessa Guillen's case at Fort Hood, Fort Cavazos today. They can change the name, but they cannot make us forget Fort Hood. Okay, that's what they're going. That's what they think. That's what they're trying to do, and they're very good at kicking the can down, kicking the cases down through the ages, so that people forget, and you have just a criminal syndicate taken over, and more people getting hurt and suffering through it. And that's what they don't understand, because the more of us that come together that have been hurt, like what I'm about to explain to you today, they start creating alliances, coalitions to come together, like mothers of missing, murdered, and maligned soldiers, like that. Is it Mothers for Liberty? Was it that group that was just so in the news lately? Let me pull this down just a little bit. So absolutely, people start coming together because they see and have to deal with so much pain. 7 suicides in 7 months on Fort Bliss. 7 suicides in 7 months. And let's not forget this case just recently, June 6, 2023, a Fort Bliss soldier accused of sexually abusing a 14-year-old girl in the barracks, and not just that, prostituting her out to the other soldiers, and then 85,000 unaccompanied minors that were housed there at the emergency intake center on Fort Bliss, ran by admirals. And now we know this month that they have closed that down, and the children that are still there, thank God. Well, who knows what was going on in there, right? Who knows? The way they're running Fort Bliss, who knows what was going on in the emergency intake center. And children were disappearing and unaccounted for, up to 85,000 of them. But they're being transferred now to North Carolina, to a special place there. So what am I announcing today is an alliance. An alliance has been created for Richard. An alliance of those, and I'll read you the announcement. Key members of Fort Bliss create an alliance for justice in Richard Halliday's case. Key members within Fort Bliss have aligned to seek justice in the case of Richard Halliday. And these are extraordinary people. It's like Richard too, extraordinary people. And what do I mean by that? I think we have um, this block in us that we can't join those extraordinary people, that we can't be an extraordinary person because we know our own failings, we know our own troubles, we know our own limitations. And so we are very hard on ourselves, and we don't allow ourselves to take that step of courage to join the alliances of extraordinary people that do incredible things. And they too have limitations. They too have troubles. They too have shortcomings. They too have um, a confession, right? They have a confession. We all have a confession. And I confess my sins every week. You know, that's part of the Anglican Church. That's part of why our family belongs to the Anglican tradition, because we believe that we need to do that every week. You know, we should do it all the time, of course, but we want to make sure that we don't forget. You know, it's a great reminder that, we say it right there with the communion of the saints to remind us we need to do it all the time. And what that does is allow us to know that we're under God, we're in his temple, we're not, oh, this is really good. We're not perverts. Friend gave us this. No perverts allowed. We're not perverts. Okay, let's talk about what a pervert is. A pervert is someone outside of the temple. Okay, that's where that word comes from, perverse. It means you're outside of the temple. You don't want to be under God. But this is 1776 celebration right now, right? The 4th of July. This is when we say our Pledge of Allegiance, where we we should say the Pledge of Allegiance all the time to our country. There should be esprit de corps. And that doesn't mean that our country also doesn't have failings and limitations and a confession. But it's our country, and it's patriotism, and it's under God, and it's what's going to allow us to face it as ours so that we clean house, right? It's ours. It's our responsibility, just like our own home. No one's going to come in unless we, commission them to clean our house. We have to clean our house. And this is why we say the Pledge of Allegiance, to remind us that our country is our responsibility. It's our responsibility. And that's why we even have these celebrations, these memorials, to remind us of what it took to get here and what it takes to keep it, if we can keep it, right? Isn't that what we've been told? We have this beautiful country, and now we need to keep it. We need to be responsible for it. And so this is what's happening in Richard's case. We have an alliance coming together, and to those that might listen to this that are part of the alliance that has come together for justice for Richard, I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you. Rob and I, thank you so much. And we love you. We love you for doing this. Um, I'm going to get really emotional because this is what it's going to take. It's going to take an alliance of key members from within Fort Bliss that come together, that have the back of General Eisenhower to call for an independent investigation right there on Fort Bliss, first and foremost, to clear Richard's name, to clear his name. Because and they really, I mean, I would say you guys need to apologize. You guys need to be held accountable for this smearing, but that's how you clear his name. You clear his name. That's a start. That's a huge start because it was so obvious to us. The level of smear was so overboard that it was so obvious to us that it was a smear campaign. And, they just got too bold in their psyops. And I probably shouldn't say that to them because they'll probably adjust. But they got so bold in their psyops that it was ridiculous and it was insane. And that is why when Lieutenant General, 3-star General Sean Bernabe wanted to fly here to South Carolina to talk to us, we said no. You have nothing to say because you haven't cleared Richard's name. You just want to injure us with this insanity. You just want to injure Richard, his character, with your ridiculous narrative that is just so over the top, we know it's a lie. It was a lie. And we know now that it was a lie. And we know now that he was coming to injure us. We knew then he was coming to injure us. All these meetings were just to propagate this narrative with charm, while they were spreading these smears in the law enforcement community so that nobody would want to look for Richard, which I thought was really odd because I thought that's why we had the law enforcement community, right? Was to go after criminals, not innocent people, or not to just sit in there, like Bill Hicks. He's just sitting in his nice air-conditioned building, not doing anything. And then he goes, I want to run for re-election. Excuse me? You never were elected. How can it be a re-election? Y'all, you have to understand, Bill Hicks is up to no good. And, Veronica Escobar said she's running for her reelection. Why? Why does she deserve it? She doesn't do anything. She's a total disgrace. I was so happy day before yesterday when I saw Graham getting booed. Now, can they change on a dime? I would say one of the litmus tests would be to clear the smears on our son and our own family, and that there would be a congressional inquiry coming from the office of Veronica Escobar on the case of Richard Halliday. That would be interesting. And what about an investigation, an inquiry? I don't know if it's at that point on our rights as a family that have been violated because of the smears the narrative, the manipulation of this case, that they would have an assault unit, an assault team from the Fugitive Apprehension Unit um, search our home, trespass on our land, and they didn't have a warrant and they didn't have a probable cause. There was no probable cause. And the ignoring of even Judge Robert Lee Shook, ignoring our request from him. The legal assistance office severing ties with our family because we want to know what happened. Where did this probable cause come from? Where did the warrant come from? Why is our one of our key witnesses being banned from entering Fort Bliss when he is a man of authority, when he can absolutely be the boots on the ground, right? They're preventing the boots on the ground and absolutely get the answers to solve this case. To solve this case. And there's so much more. So, it's pretty, like yesterday, thinking about Major General Eisenhower after suffering through Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe, okay, and really, really suffering through the General McConville and General Garrett crimes against humanity generals. I mean, they are major criminals, okay? Major criminals. They need to go down. Talk about reality check. They let the smear of an innocent soldier stand while they want to be respected and have a false narrative as their legacy, when in actuality they are criminals that have committed crimes against humanity. Absolutely. So Richard's name needs to be cleared. He didn't do anything wrong. He didn't do anything wrong. He was a whistleblower. And we have talked to so many people in law enforcement. He didn't do anything wrong. So this alliance, I think step number 1 is to get that across to everybody, to clear Richard's name. And because the Army didn't have Richard's back, Lieutenant General Bernabe told us that he was going to have a press release every month until Richard was found. He would have something out there. He's such a liar. What a liar. Right? So if you are press, so I'll read this finish. Key members within Fort Bliss have aligned now to seek justice in the case of Richard Halliday, the missing soldier representing law enforcement and justice. They are committed to a thorough investigation of upholding justice. So that doesn't tell the whole story. When you have an alliance of key members within Fort Bliss, I'm talking about key members and also soldiers. This includes also soldiers, which I want to tell you about also. They are, remember what Sean Bernabe said? We have to be driven. We were driven to do the right thing. Well, these key members in Alliance can drive the ability for Major General, a 2-star general, to do the right thing, because he can't do it alone. Even though he really has the power and authority to do it alone, but because of General McConville, right, the criminal, because of the command structure right now and how criminal it is, and how many roadblocks it puts up and how much retaliation is dealt out, where they take the tools that we have given them and weaponize them, and then they'll use them against their own. Because of the level of retaliation, it really put Major General Eisenhower in a position where he was made impotent. Okay? He has been made impotent. He couldn't even answer our requests properly. It was like, oh, you got to go to the CID. Let us know everything, but go to the CID. Wait a minute. Who's briefing you? Because the CID, the very agency that we entrust to investigate our son's case, are directly responsible for the forced disappearance and murder of our son. So why would I say murder? Y'all are, if the CID special agent in charge, Marlon Soto, is going to head up the smear campaign on Richard, if Tavita Nusa is leaking, see, because that office is very small, maybe 9 people. I don't think even that many. But there's 90,000 service members with their families right now in 2023 that call Fort Bliss home. That's the latest that I found. So you have this small little group of people controlling the narrative for Fort Bliss law enforcement and El Paso, right? This little small group, Marlon Soto, Tavita Nusa, Leilani Hart, Dallas Hart, the Hart family, because look, all the naysayers, all the bullies out there, they don't say Leilani Hart. They don't say child pornography. Leilani Hart child pornography that she confessed to. They don't say Dallas Hart incest. They don't say that. That Leilani Hart confessed that her son Dallas Hart was in an incestuous relationship, right? While in uniform, while being a platoon leader, serving with Richard, right? They're not saying that. They're not saying illegal access to files. Leilani Hart, Tavita Nusa. They're not saying confession of bodily harm. They're not saying Tavita Nusa interference in Richard Halliday's case. They don't mention that at all in their narrative. That's why I have to come every day and say it. Who's going to say what is there in a CID confession that was notarized by a notary public who we talked to on the 22nd of July, 2020, that was, given to the CID and the FBI, because we have the CID and the FBI numbers, which Nobody has a CID and FBI numbers of their cases. I don't have it of Richard's case, of anything that we've turned in of our own. But I have Leilani Hart's. Why? Because she has access with Marlon Soto, with Tavita Nusa, with, well, there's another conflict of interest there that I'm very curious about because they're good buddies. Ron Stieg, and there's only you have to understand, this is, probably less than 9 special agents. Ron Stieg being one of them, good buddies with who? Jay Paulin, Richard's former first sergeant, who felt it necessary to participate in the smear campaign of Richard, which is tampering, which is obstruction, which is criminal. They don't say Jay Paulin criminal. They don't say all this conflict of interest in the CID, the very agency that we were in contact with for months and months, that were lying to us, that they were supposed to be upholding the law, following protocols, but yet they were scrubbing Richard's file of any mention of one of our key witnesses, scrubbing the file of the retaliation against Richard. Because we received the archive file, where is the field grade Article 15? No, they scrubbed that, right? They scrubbed that, and then they promote Richard twice. They promote him in December of 22, and they promote him 4 months later in April of this year, 2023. Why are they doing that? I don't know why that's coming up. Why are they doing that? Because they're getting ready for, in our opinion, a congressional inquiry, right? Inquiry. How do you say it? I'm not familiar with all of this. This is so new to my language, to my concerns, and I've been forced to learn it because I want justice for my son, and I want my son's name cleared, and I want to find my son, and I'm accepting what has happened, but I'm not going to accept that they can get away with it. See that? You can say, oh no, 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 no. What did they do? And that will then get you emotional and not focused on getting the accountability that needs to come to prevent and restrain, at least restrain evil. So I'm just so grateful that now we have an alliance, more boots on the ground to do the right thing, to help our children, to help our volunteer sons and daughters, to help our service members. 7 suicides in 7 months. That's what I'm hearing. And I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense, but it's all connected. We need to clean up house on Fort Bliss. And we need to make sure that General Eisenhower, who was given this mess. Okay, he was given this mess by Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe, who is now over Fort Hood. Oh, wow. Fort Cavazos. Wow. Um, Poor Fort Cavazos. And I'm going to say that over and over again so that everybody holds his feet to the fire, because do not trust him. He's up to no good. He's compromised. And he does not care about the soldier. Okay? He cares about his next star. He did such evil to get his 2 stars. I'm so sad about that. He got rewarded for doing for betrayal. Of his oath, of what's right and good, of esprit de corps. He betrayed esprit de corps. He betrayed the Medal of Honor ethos. He betrayed our service members. And he's in charge now of Fort Hood, Fort Cavazos. Is that what Major General Eisenhower was headed to? Is that what he's headed to? Is that how they're going to twist him and turn him? Well, Team Fine Richard Halliday knew that on his own he can't do it. He can't stop the in World War Z, where if you get bitten and you turn into a zombie or whatever, on his own, he's just going to turn into a zombie. He's going to get bitten. They've already started gnawing on him. It was no coincidence that McConville came to visit him. And so he needs help. And that's what this alliance is about. It's help for Major General Eisenhower to do the right thing. And the other really good news, because the alliance is just one front of this. Okay? One front is you out there writing letters. We need to write letters to Veronica Escobar. She just announced she's running again. We need to write her letters. She needs to do the right thing. And she hasn't. She's Vanity Fair Veronica. She's a disgrace. And so the public needs to hold her feet to the fire. She has all the blessings because she's on all the committees. She's been rewarded for her betrayal. She's on the committees. She could get the congressional inquiry going also. But another thing is that a soldier, if you are a soldier at Fort Bliss, you can also get a congressional inquiry into Richard Halliday's case going. And so this is really good news. This is very good news. We cannot allow 14-year-olds to live in the barracks with almost all men ages 17 to 25 being prostituted out. Okay? Because then they're being groomed into these sex cults. They're being pressured. They're being groomed and pressured. They're being trained and groomed and pressured. And that's why we have 7 suicides in 7 months. Because some of them can't live with that. And so if you're a soldier and you are sick of it, sick of what they've done to you, if you're sick of the pressure of these sex cults, if you're sick of the pressure of the drugs and the alcohol and the bringing in the young girls to be prostituted out, making them mules, if you're sick of it, you can also put in a congressional inquiry for Find Richard Halliday. And Richard, whistleblower, absolutely, made complaints to the Child Protective Services, made complaints to the CID, and of course he paid the ultimate price. But we're exposing. We're going to get justice. We need the congressional inquiry. And together we're strong. Together we can get this done. Together with a congressional inquiry, with Congress pressuring Major General James Eisenhower to do the right thing, with the alliance of key members within El Paso, Fort Bliss, with Veronica Escobar, with the soldiers calling for congressional inquiries, with Team Find Richard Halliday. I think that we could be a powerful force. I think we're going to be a powerful force. I think we are a powerful force. And I think that we can drive Major General Eisenhower to do the right thing. Because within 24 hours, he could have the answers. There's no doubt in Rob's mind. He's been telling me this from the very beginning, that if our generals wanted to find out what happened, because they already know what happened, they could tell us within 24 hours. And so this is a huge day, because we do have this alliance. We do have several soldiers willing to put in a congressional inquiry. And won't you join? I mean, what side are you going to be on? Are you going to be on this side? And it is not a coincidence that on Sunday, I think I have the bulletin. On Sunday, we sang one of my favorite hymns, "There's a Wideness in God's Mercy." Yeah. Because don't feel like you know, and look at who's behind me. Look at who's behind me. That's Theodora. Think about her life. And she said no more. Of course, she had the help of some Christians, some Christian nuns that helped her. But she said, no more. I, no more. And she didn't just stop there. Um, and she never had children. She was never able to have children after what she had suffered. It was bad. And why do I love Theodora? Because for hundreds of years, we were blessed by what she put together in the Justinian Codex on family law, women's law, so women wouldn't be um, taken exploited, that children wouldn't be exploited, that inheritances wouldn't be exploited, that families wouldn't be exploited. It's an amazing woman, the work that she did. And she came from a rough past. And I think the Bible is full of that, right? With Paul, many others. Matthew, the tax collector, um, many others. And so this is a really good day because the alliance is there. It is there. It happened. It happened not so easily, y'all. It was very rough to get together. And we're at day 1073. And it took a lot of prayer to create this alliance of key members from within Fort Bliss that really are putting their careers on the line, that have been made even to do it because of all the retaliation. And now we have the soldiers coming forward. And we just need Congress to come forward. So, write Congress, write your congressman. Absolutely ask for Congress to do an inquiry into Richard Halliday's case. Clear his name because Richard didn't do anything wrong. And that was their plan. That was their standard operating procedure, to smear Richard so bad that everybody wouldn't care and they could get away with murder, literally get away with murder and continue the child sex trafficking, continue exploiting children through child pornography, the production and the distribution, the, what do you call that? Downloading it through the cloud. Absolutely the drugs, absolutely the equipment and weapon smuggling and sales of it with ammunition. Go on any Reddit discussion with soldiers and you will read that the equipment is in bad shape. That our equipment is in bad shape. Why? We are a $1 trillion Department of Defense. And I've been told, oh, it's only 886 billion. No. Let's not forget that trillions of dollars have gone unaccounted for. 5 audits. And all of a sudden, y'all, it's a $1 trillion military. They should be the most elite force. Our sons and daughters really, I would say um, there should be no problem signing up, but there is because there is so much crime within our military. Money laundering, absolutely. Oops, we just had a $6 billion mistake in our books. What? 6 billion? Um, what was it? 3 trillion? Another trillion here? You don't make that kind of mistakes, y'all. Not when it comes to money. No. So we have a good day today. I should have gone onto Facebook to see. Okay, to answer any questions. I mean, it's already after 12. Thank you, everybody, for coming on. Um, yes, we have confirmation that the JAG was up to no good. And that Leilani Hart was involved in that too. We have confirmation. See, they don't want to mention Leilani Hart. And I've invited her on here. Because, when you're talking about a confession of child pornography, which is illegal, a 7-year-old being raped, sexually assaulted, how do you want to say it, in Leilani Hart's master bedroom. When you have the allegations, those aren't allegations, those are her confessions that were notarized. Okay? But then when you have the confirmation of an allegation, however you want to say it, to keep out of trouble, that she manipulated the JAG within the JAG, that she manipulated within the small, these are small circles, okay? It sounds big, but it's small. That small office of the CID, she just knows where to go, where the power is. And the power is in the CID, absolutely. In order to get into the FBI, in order, if you want to manipulate things to go against, let's say, in a divorce or something like that. And so I've given her the opportunity and asked through other channels for her to come on. And Dallas Hart called. Ouch. Ouch. And so this needs to go to a congressional inquiry. And, if they have an explanation for all of this stuff, then, I will be glad, thanking God to eat crow. Because it's so bad. I don't want this for our military. I don't want this for our CID. I don't want this for our FBI. I don't want this for the JAG. I don't want this for 44 four-star generals, but I'm telling you, I've been pretty upfront in witnessing things that make you cry. And what's really, really interesting is that they are so quick to look at the little speck in everybody else's eye. Look at the speck of, long history in the United States and just judge it back and forth. But all along they have a big old log in their own eye. Huge log. And it's like, you're the CID, you're supposed to be investigating my son, and yet you're responsible for his disappearance and for his murder. I mean, there might be a chance that it was a fight that broke out between a couple people and he was murdered. But let me tell you, um, this dismembering thing, why haven't they come back and said, ma'am, that is awful. That is awful. There is no truth to that. But they haven't done that. They have not done that. No, we have a key witness that says there was a confession of bodily harm, and that came out of the CID. And what's really curious, because people weren't there, they don't see it, is that we were in that meeting with the 15 plus agencies. We're talking about Homeland Security and alcohol, tobacco, firearms, um, whatever, ATF, um, explosives. Who else was there? The FBI and the CID and the El Paso Police Department and the Mexican law enforcement, the Mexican military, and um, Interpol. And uh, yeah, that happened on the 9th of November. So the 26th of October was when FBI man happened. An employee of the FBI that said Richard's remains were found in Mexico. Shh, right? That one. And we have reports that that's when the FBI took charge of Richard's case. I don't know how important they thought that was, but that's the reports. I don't know. That needs to be confirmed. And it makes sense, because if you're going to have an employee get caught saying that the FBI were in Mexico looking for the remains of a soldier, and we're being told that there's a report in the CID and the FBI that he was in uniform over there, and they found him and he's dead. Shh. And he turns out to be the father-in-law of Lieutenant Colonel Bogado in the G3 of the 32nd ACOM. I would think that the FBI would then take charge of Richard's case. But they didn't say anything on the 9th. So you're talking about what, 13 days, 2 weeks later? And they saw Marlon Soto be accused of leaks coming out of the CID there at Fort Bliss at that meeting, big as Dallas. I read it all out. I said, there's leaks coming out of the CID. The FBI were sitting right there, y'all. And Marlon Soto said he would take care of it. That's not right. You cannot have the CID investigating itself. And for Major General Eisenhower to tell us to go to the agency where there's all these conflicts of interest, where they are responsible, where we have a key witness that they have not even given the time of day to. Matter of fact, they haven't given the time of day to, but they even scrubbed him from Richard's file. You can't tell us to go to CID when they are the primary agency, or they're responsible for the forced disappearance of Richard Halliday. And Eisenhower's telling us to go to them. So we have been brainstorming, how can we move forward to get justice for Richard? How can we move forward and move forward quickly? And God answered that. God answered it. And an alliance was formed with key people. That's noteworthy. So from within Fort Bliss to investigate. Because, these are law enforcement key people. And they don't take lightly for Leilani Hart and Dallas Hart and maybe some other Harts, maybe, all these Tavita Nusa and Marlon Soto and more, mortuary affairs, whatever, to Clem Coward, Major General Clem Coward, that absolutely there's evidence as big as Dallas that he called off the search, the protocols for a missing soldier. Absolutely. That's why we were never called. That's why we were never notified, and that the media was never notified, and that the CID was never notified, and the El Paso Police Department was never notified. From what we've heard, nothing started until 1st of September 2020. So, and then the smear campaign began. That's what they got to watch. And not just a smear campaign to the public, but the CID led by Marlon Soto, and I think asymmetric warfare tactics of others, because I have proof that Corinne Adeline contributed to the smear campaign and to the sabotage of the investigation of my son. So the very agency that's supposed to be investigating is the one controlling the smear narrative and scrubbing the files and leaking the files and manipulating video, missing video, and what they're going to find. Now, just that, and that is all documented now, y'all, that happened. And that they got into JAG. They infiltrated into JAG. So this small group of people, and so, the law enforcement community there has woken up. Not the woke, but they understand what's happening now. And they don't take lightly to a few bad apples, very bad apples, bad apples, to destroy their institutions, to destroy their law enforcement agency there on Fort Bliss, to destroy justice on Fort Bliss, to destroy their country through that, to make the Army weak through that. 7 suicides in 7 months. If that doesn't tell you that our military is weak and something bad is happening, that something is not right, I don't need any other proof. When you have a 14-year-old girl living in the barracks with a bunch of young men and being prostituted out to them, something's up, something's not right. And so, whoever you are out there, if you're sick and tired of it, if you're just sick and tired of it, you might have participated in the Vanity Fair, but you're sick and tired of it. You see it. You're like Faithful, right? Or who was that? I think in Pilgrim's Progress, his name was Faithful, who got sick and tired of participating in the Vanity Fair, and he joined Christian and said, I'm getting out of here." So join the alliance, um, and let's clean up Fort Bliss, and let's clean up the damage they did on Richard's name, and that will go a long way in getting justice for Richard, and it can happen very quickly. Um, to find out where he's at, I know that the general, I know they know. Don't tell me that they don't know. So unless they're getting badly briefed, but then you want them to, go to war? They can't even handle this, and they're expected to go to war and be over many, many, many of our soldiers, of our volunteer sons and daughters. That's what they are. So, well, thank you. Thank you, Anicia. Thank you, Danielle. Thank you, Donna. Some good news finally. Yeah, it's very, very good, because we have Eisenhower's back now, and he might not really, he might be very nervous about it. He might not really like it. But remember what Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe said. They must be driven. And remember that they had kicked us out, and it wasn't until Hannah had 40,000 shares on her Instagram that they came back to put Richard on the rolls and start the investigation on the 1st of September 2020. Yeah. That's one little Instagram that goes a little viral. So we are much stronger than what we know. We are much stronger. And so this alliance with key people is very, very good news. Thank you so much. Um, we love you all, and we will be back tomorrow, God willing. I'm going to do a TikTok right now, and, sorry it's so late, so get some good sleep. It's 4th of July, right? It's happy 4th of July. I need to put up some fireworks. Will y'all put up some fireworks in the comment section? We need some fireworks. It's 1776, the spirit of 1776, where the people do have way more power than what we even think. So I can tell you a lot about 1776 historically, because I just love history so much. But I'll keep that for tomorrow. Um, have a great evening. Have a great night. Sleep tight. And God bless you all. See you tomorrow.